friends, and welcome to Saitama Stacker channel. Hey guys, my name's Dean. Shout out the Wolf Pack. Hope you guys are having a great night. This video is going to be a little bit more advanced than a lot of the content that I produce, but a lot of people seem to like it, so I hope you enjoy it. These are some new thoughts on how to make the burn more useful in terms of just tracking the information for me. So I'll share with you my process and where I ended up. And I don't know. I hope you find it fascinating. I think it's interesting. So if you're a first time viewer of any of my content, please know that I only make these videos for information purposes, for education and community building around the Saitama token. And you shouldn't think of this as investment advice. So do your own research before you invest in Saitama or any other project for that matter. So let's take a look. Okay. So every day when I do fundamentals, I always show what the current burn percentage is. Okay. And I have some observations about the burn that I talked about in another video that I called the mechanics of the burn. And what I observe is since from May to August, we burned 5% of the total supply. Okay. When Saitama token was initially released, and you can find this information in the white paper, they released 100 quadrillion tokens and then immediately burned half of those. So there were 50 quadrillion tokens remaining in supply. So between May and August, 5% of that additional supply was burned. And that's about when I started tracking it. So they were burning more than 1% per month. Well, I'm going on about 7 weeks of doing these videos. And you can see here, it was at 55%. Let me highlight that so I get the right row. Okay, on the 7th of September. And today we are the 20th of October. So we've had 47 days, over a month and a half, and we've only managed to burn a little less than 0.5%. So that percentage has started to slow down from the early beginnings. And so I thought about some reasons why that might be, and I talked about it in my last video, but I'm going to go back over that and make it a little bit more clear. Okay. So in this first sheet, what I'm looking at are 3 different things. Okay. So we have to think about the price. We have to think about the volume, and then we can make some decisions about what that means in terms of tokens burned. Okay. So starting when I purchased Saitama, actually the first buy I made was when there were 9 zeros. So I've just used the 3 because that's the digit we have currently, and it gives us kind of an idea of where we're at. So from when we were 9 digits, 9 zeros, 3, if you invested $1,000, you would have purchased a total of 3 trillion tokens. Okay. And they would have burned 2% of that, which would have been 66 billion tokens. Once the price 10x'd and we were 8 zeros 3, that same $1,000 only purchased 333 billion tokens. Okay, so we're basically having to divide that original quantity by 10 and then that quantity by 10. And so, the amount burned instead of 66 billion was only 6 billion on the same $1,000. Okay, now we're 7 zeros 3. That same $1,000 only burns 33 billion tokens. Okay, where when we were 9 digits, it was 3 trillion. So what you can see is the higher the price goes, the number of tokens purchased and therefore burned will go down on the same purchased dollars. In order to keep the burn at a constant, we have to change the volume of purchasing by a multiplier of 10 going the other way. So when we were 8 digits 3, it would have taken $10,000 to burn the same amount of tokens as 1,000 did. And currently it takes $100,000 invested to burn the same amount of tokens that you would have burned with $1,000 when we were 9 zeros 3. And it just continues as a multiplier of 10. So what I wanted to do is figure out, okay, how can we turn the burn percentage and what's going on with volume and price into some kind of meaningful data that we can use and point to and say, okay, things are improving, or they're pulling back, or the burn is speeding up, or it's slowing down. And that's kind of the way I'm going to look at it. I'm going to look at this as a speedometer. I think for you guys, I need to go this direction. But are we going slower? Are we going faster with that burn mechanism? Okay. So I broke it down into how long does it take to burn 1%? Of course, 1% of the original token supply, or 100 quadrillion tokens, is 1 quadrillion. To burn 1 quadrillion with a 2% burn mechanism built in on every transaction, it means people have to be buying and selling 50 quadrillion tokens. Okay, and then 2% of that would be 1 quadrillion. So all we need to do is figure out based on the price how much volume we need to purchase 50 quadrillion tokens. Okay. Next sheet. So what I ended up doing is playing around with the data a little bit. Now this looks a little heavy, but I went onto CoinGecko, and they have a historical data tab. So I went in there and I was able to track it back all the way to June. Okay. So here wow, jumped far and fast. Okay. Here's our current data. When we scroll down all the way to the bottom, and you can actually expand the data. There should have been a view more. Is it covered up in the ad? I got to change it to 1 year data. Okay. So once we've made that alteration, I can take the historical transactions back to June. Okay. Then I exported this to a spreadsheet. So this gives me the volume every day, and it gives me the price. And of course the date. So volume, date, and price, and the market cap doesn't show up here, but that's not a problem for this illustration. Okay. So I went ahead, I imported it all in. And then what I did is take an average of the opening and closing price, and then figure out how many tokens you would have purchased on that given day's volume. Okay. And then I basically just totaled it all up. And sure enough, when I got to the end of the line, the number of tokens burned during that time frame is 6 trillion. Okay. So, 6 quadrillion, 6% of the total token supply, which brings us right back to about, good heavenly days, this computer's going to make me crazy. Okay. It brings us back to about a 55% burn. Okay. So these numbers are close enough for me that I'm using. I looked at doing some different ratios with these, and I also graphed it out to see what the data looks like over time. And the first graph is right here. Okay. And this is in reverse chronological order, just based on the way I had the information in there and I didn't flip the scale. So you can see early on back in June, we had some really big spikes in burns. These are token burns. And over time, that's kind of come down. Okay. And then I just took 7-day averages of those to make the graph a little cleaner. And here you go. Then I took those 7-day averages and divided them by the total, that's 6 quadrillion. And I put it into a pie chart, and each one shows the same thing. It's just a different way of looking at the data. But you can see earlier on, we were burning big chunks of the pie. And then as we go farther along and the price increases, then we start to see less and less burn. So the burn is slowing down. Okay. That doesn't mean the burn can't speed back up. But what we know, again, based on this first sheet, is that in order to keep the burn going at the same rate of speed it was early on in the project, the volume has to increase proportionate to the price. Okay. So if the price goes up by 10x and the volume goes up by 10x, the burn rate will stay the same. So here comes the big reveal. Okay, so I created a calculator that takes into account volume and price to figure out how much time is it going to take us to burn 1% of the token supply. Okay, so we could take today's data, and the last time I looked at it was like 3030. Let's see. Oh, I've got it pulled here, Etherscan, which doesn't show the price very well. Let's go back to, all right, 31625. I have to tick back up again. 31625. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in. And I have a formula already set up that will show, okay, here's the formula for the burn at a given price. Okay, we're going to take the volume, divide it by the price, and set that equal to a constant of 50 quadrillion, meaning at any given price, how much volume do I need to purchase 50 quadrillion tokens, which, knowing that 2% is burned, would burn 1% of the supply. So at today's price, the volume that would be required to burn 1%, and of course, we're not trying to burn 1% per day, but I have to have a place to start with. Okay, it would be 1,581,000,000. Okay, at the current price. Now, every time the price goes up, the volume also has to go up proportionately. So if we look at today's actual volume, okay, which is currently listed here as 40 billion. 40 billion. That's the 40 million. Well, I was going to say 40 billion. We're about to burn it all up. It's 40 million. I'm looking at too many numbers today. Okay. So if I put in that 40 million volume for today, okay, it would take 39.53 days to burn 1% at this current volume and price. So over here, I kind of put a range just so I can look at it and say, okay, if I wanted to burn 1% in 30 days, I would need a daily volume of 52 million. At 60 days, 26 million. So you can see our current volume is between those. Well, if we take the required volume to burn 1% and divide it by the actual daily volume, we come up with a number of days required at current volume to burn 1%. And to me, that number right there is useful because we can watch it day over day and see, are we accelerating the burn? Are we slowing down? So it's just an interesting way to use the burn and determine, is our volume strong compared to our price, or is it decreasing? So I don't know. Last night when I came through with this, my mind was like, I don't know if I was blown or totally relieved because I was plugging away at it for about 3 hours, trying to come up with a useful means. So our speedometer today on amazing volume is set to 1% burn at 39.5 days. Okay. So we'll be able to incorporate this into the fundamental spreadsheet and look at how that daily volume is doing against price. I hope you find this interesting. If you do, make sure you drop a like. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. And I'll do my best to keep bringing you the best content I can each day. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this exercise. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I will try to get this spreadsheet here, just this burn calculator, into the show notes for you. So if anybody wants to play around with it, you can. Anybody who's a mathematician, if you want to double check my work here, make sure this reasoning is sound. That'd be great. It's not impossible that I can be wrong. I mean, I'm really honestly not that great at math. I mean, I can think through it and get there, but I'm not a math professor by any stretch of the imagination. So, all right, folks, I hope you have a wonderful day. Keep stacking up your tokens. Check back with me tomorrow. We'll watch our stacks grow together.